as you are here. Okay. I think this recording is for me to actually wrap up so I can have a speaker come on board. So even as you are even though you are joining this session, right, explore other opportunities, right? Explore other opportunities, learn, take up what you've learned. You're not just sharing on social media because you are mandated to share, but you are building your profile and you are getting people to know that, oh, this is what I'm interested in, and I'm not joining the learning sessions, but I'm getting this and this out of it, and that's why I'm coming to share. So every part and every process of this program is very, very delicate to you as a person who is already benefiting directly, and even to your community physically online too. So I'm super excited to have us here. So this is 10:10. We should start, but I will just take from one more person. I'll just take from one more person. Charity, how are you doing? How are you doing, Charity? Charity, if you can hear me, can you unmute? Yeah, I still want to hear you. How are you doing? Can you unmute your mic? I think we should be turning on our videos so that we can actually, your background is noisy. Okay, I think we should be turning on our videos because we need to know that everybody's fully on board and we are not just partially present in these learning sessions because they are really, 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 really important and they require your full commitment. So I will have to speak to your project manager, but please let's ensure that every time that is for the learning session, you're at a place that is quiet, you're at a place where you can learn and your videos can actually come on, except we have network interruptions or something. But please, let's take a cue from Gabriel and always turn on our videos. It's very, very important to connect with the speaker. Yeah, I get. Yes, Pascal, I agree with you. The video actually affects the network. That happens, but as much as we can, at least once in a while, you turn on your video so that the speaker will also know that, oh, this person is connecting, this person is in a quiet space, the person is listening. Okay, we have everybody on board. Caroline, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good morning, Praise.
Good morning, Caroline. Okay, thank you for joining. So we are up and running. We have already talked about the project, what this session entails, and the objectives of the session is that you get to understand budgeting, from the fundamentals of budgeting, strategies for managing and monitoring budgets effectively, then also utilizing budgeting tools and software. Yes, so let's go into it. Let's go into it. I would have said let us do some drum roll, but how do we do it? Do we use our hand and start clapping to do drum roll? Do we clap? So it's my pleasure, right, to introduce our speaker for today. Her name is Boluwatife Ajayi. Boluwatife Ajayi is a senior programs associate here at Nigerian Youth SDGs. So she is a dedicated advocate for sustainable development in Nigeria with a particular emphasis on youth development and inclusion. As a senior programs associate at NG Youth SDGs, she has played a pivotal role in raising awareness about the sustainable development goals across the country. In line with executing multiple social impact projects and driving in line with executing multiple social impact projects and driving meaningful youth engagement in Nigeria. Please, if your hands are not too busy virtually and on site, you can see use the chat box. Please, let's put our hands together as we welcome Boluwatife Ajayi as our speaker facilitating the session of budgeting. Let's go. You're welcome, Boluwatife. How are you doing today?
Hi, Praise. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. It's so nice to have you here.
How is everyone doing? Thank you for the introduction, Praise. Okay. Hi, Gabriel. Hi, Caroline. How is everybody doing?
Hello, good morning. Very well. Good to have you.
Awesome. Good to hear from you, Gabriel. Okay, I think Caroline says our background is noisy. Okay, so Victoria, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Good morning.
Morning, awesome. Okay, I think it's just three of us. I think okay. So yeah, thank you so much for coming again today. I hope you're having a pleasant morning. It's a bit cold in Lagos. I hope it's not cold in Enugu. So I would also be sharing my screen. Okay, please confirm you can see my screen. Can anyone see my screen?
Yes, yes, yes.
All right, awesome.
Can any other person see her screen? Gabriel, can you see her screen? Who else?
Yes, yes, I can.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. Thanks so much. So our topic for today is budget planning and management. Thank you also everyone for sharing your expectations for the class. So I try to ensure that it's in line with the CLIP project because we are basically working on a project. When we want to talk about budgeting, we're getting into the whole finance, and sometimes it can look like what is going on? You're seeing so many numbers and all of that. But don't worry, I've tried to make it as simple as possible and tailored to the project. So I just really hope that you find it very insightful. And yeah, let's get on this journey together. So basically, our areas of focus would be understanding budgeting fundamentals, strategies for managing and monitoring budgets effectively, and also utilizing budgeting tools and software. So I'll be sharing some tools, some software tools that you can use in terms of budgeting and just tracking everything that you are doing in terms of your finance. And yeah, also understanding what exactly is budgeting, what exactly is it, how do I ensure that I'm able to budget for this particular project effectively, and even when I've been able to budget, how can I actually manage it, how can I actually monitor it. So we're going to get deep into all of these things. And I just ask that you follow me on this journey. Why do I keep saying journey? But yeah, it's a journey anyway. So what exactly is budgeting? If you look at the screen, it's very simple. It ensures that an organization can plan its expenditures, manage resources effectively, and avoid overspending. And so when you talk about it in relation to projects, it's basically the process of estimating, allocating, controlling the cost that has to do with the project. So for instance, let's say you need to you want to carry out a party, maybe something like family reunion party. You're thinking of food, how much is the food going to cost? You're thinking of probably decoration. Do you need to rent a hall? Do you need to bring in a DJ? So all of these things, you are trying to also estimate the price. How much is the DJ going to collect? You can also even decide to ask a friend that, oh, you had a DJ for this your party. How much did the person collect? Person can tell you, the DJ collected 50,000 naira. They are like, okay, this was 2 months ago. Okay, 50K. So let's say 60K for now because it's been months and the guy might have, increased his price and all of that. So you're able to estimate that, okay, this is how much this thing is probably going to cost. And even for your hall rental, everything, you are able to estimate that, okay, I think this is how much this is going to cost. You begin to call the vendors. How much do you rent this hall? How much do you rent this studio? Whatever project it is that you want to carry out. And then you even start to allocate that, okay, in terms of food, refreshments, we're going to drop probably 100,000 naira for it. In terms of DJ, in terms of media, this is how much we're going to allocate. And then you're also able to control the cost. That, okay, you know what? Just like I mentioned before, that you can, okay, that the DJ asked for 50,000 naira before from your other friend, and you're able to now just to ensure that you're controlling the cost. Because if you still put the same 50,000 naira, by the time you call the DJ, will tell you that my price is not 50K anymore. Meanwhile, you already put 50K on your budget, and now you're having to overspend. So the budget is supposed to guide you. The budget is supposed to guide you because you don't want to overspend. And the budget is supposed to be smart. You don't want to create a budget that at the end of the day, you are changing the whole thing because you were in delusion island when you were writing the project, and you're seeing that the cost of things right now is not even in alignment with the budget. So the budget is there to guide you, to help you maximize your time, to help you maximize the cost that you're going to spend on carrying out that project. If your budget is not in the right place, it is going to affect your project. If your budget has not been properly planned, it is going to affect the implementation of your project. So for instance, you've already said that, okay, I'm going to pay, let me use it all because all is very, very, for instance, just carry out the capacity building training. And this or you actually budgeted like 10,000 naira. You budgeted like 10,000 naira for it. And by the time you've gone out to, to look for a all, and they are like, I like this all, how much is it? And then they're telling you 1 million. So you can now see that you would have to even change the time that you want to implement your project, because now you're having to look for more money and all of that stuff. So it's so important that your budget is actually in the right place. So I'm going to also talk about the 5 project management budgeting methods. So remember I said I'm going to tailor this our session to projects because we're on a CLIP project. So yeah, 5 project management budgeting methods. So before I continue, I want us to share some things. I'm sure that you must have worked on a project before. You must have done something related to, having to spend money. Maybe when you were in school and you had the final year presentation, you have to print, you have to do all of that stuff, you have to pay for this thing. So have you actually had to go through a time where you planned that this is going to be the cost of this thing, and that was not the case? So I want somebody to volunteer and just share that experience with us. Anybody?
Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Victoria.
Okay. I think it happened last year, December. We were preparing for the BioVas Southeast Dialogue workshop, and we needed a hall and we needed food vendors. And the budget we had for our hall, I think that was a period the economy was even shaky. So the prices of things doubled. So we were having issues with getting a hall, and we had to change location, considering where, putting in consideration where other members, bioversers were coming from, and it was a bit challenging. And then for the food vendors, we also experienced that we had to change, we had to keep looking for searching till we could get a budget we could work on. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Victoria. Any other person? Just one more person that I would also like to share.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Gabriel.
Okay, I remember earlier this year, as the speaker of Los Angeles Assembly, we actually had a program for first year where we organized debate competition. So, and we actually made a budget, that caters for the prize money and then other logistics like food for judges and all the stuff. So and at the point it became high and others, we had to make an amendment to the budget for the judges
Gabriel,
of
I
the
can't really
debate
hear you
competition.
anymore. Kind of vibrating.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I think it's a bit better
Can you
now.
hear me?
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay. All right. I said earlier on this year, I organized the debate competition for first years in my school. So, and with get and also for the budget. So initially, we budgeted money for food for judges, those that would judge the debate competition. And as things became costly, we had to make an amendment to the budget. Yes.
All right, awesome. Thank you for sharing, Gabriel. So we can hear live experiences of how budgets can actually affect your project implementation. So basically, if we look at the first point, the first diagram and all that stuff, all these bars matters. So the first part is bottoms up, bottoms up. So when you talk about bottoms up, it's basically you breaking down your budget and the things that you need for your project into tiny bits. So for instance, I want to get a hall. Now, I've put down the cost of the hall. It will take me 100K to rent this hall. Now, I just don't need the building itself. Why? Because I need to be able to speak. And if I need to be able to speak, I need to have microphones. I need to have a speaker. And if I want to even present, I need a projector or a multimedia screen. So I need to also be able to itemize the cost of the speakers, the cost of the screen, because there are some halls that will tell you, oh, we can only rent out the hall. We don't have multimedia screen, don't have microphones, just chairs and the hall. So it's so important that you verify. And there are some halls that will tell you everything that you want comes together with the price of the hall. So if that's the case, I need to break it down and put the cost. Every single thing, I need to break it down. So a lot of times, too, let's say for your projects, you also need media. Sorry about the noise. I have airplanes flying over where I am. So for instance, you need media. Now the communications team can also come in and say, oh, this is the cost for us to bring in media houses like Arise TV, NTA, and the rest of them. This is the cost for us to get a photographer. This is the cost for us to get a videographer. This is the cost for us to get somebody that does phone reels and all of that stuff. This is the cost for us to get banners. So they break everything down. Everything is broken down with the cost. I hope that's clear. So that is the bottoms up approach. So now when it comes to the top down approach, it's basically the opposite of bottoms up. You know, bottoms up, you are breaking it down bit by bit. But when it comes to top down, the project cost, how much do we need to actually implement this project? Like, what's the overall cost? It can be maybe 5 million naira. And now, instead of breaking it down, the organization or the project manager can say, comms, you're going to take 1 million. Operations are going to take 2 million and all of that. So the sharing is basically going to be divided among the tasks, you know, comms, you need operations, you need programs, and all of those stuff. So it will be broken down like that, divided like that. So comms will now take that money that they gave us 1 million naira. So we have 1 million naira to work with. And that means we'll need to carry out our tasks within the 1 million naira benchmark. I hope that's clear. So that's basically the difference between both sides. So you are coming to the 3 points estimates. We're coming to the 3 points estimates. So this basically means that you are looking at the best and worst case scenario. We're taking into account the best and worst case scenario. So there will be times where things are not completely aligned. You really need to look at you know, how the project is going to be carried out, what are the risks that are involved in it. So all of that stuff, all of that is going to actually help you to now estimate. So if we read through what is there, it says this approach takes into account the best and worst case cost scenarios for each task involved in the project, along with a number representing the most likely estimate. So sometimes the vendor can tell you that, oh, I can do for, okay, the person tells you 5 million and tells you that I can do for 3 million. And then you see another vendor that can do for maybe 4 million. So you're looking at what works best for us. I am able to estimate that, okay, I think this particular budget is going to work best for us. You know, if we estimate this is going to be the best way, so let's just go with this one. So moving on to the remaining 2 points, there's the parametric estimation. I know that the word sounds like what is happening here? What is going on? So basically, this approach means breaking the project into tasks and uses industry data and past projects to estimate cost. So for instance, you have carried out a similar kind of project before. And for that particular project, you had, I'm trying to think of an example to use. Okay, let's say you wanted to decorate a particular hall. And now the vendors that you use, you need to get somebody that is probably a carpenter that can help with putting up the banners. You would also need to get somebody that can help with arranging the chairs, mounting up some things. So they could tell you that if you want my service charge, let me put it that way, and my service charge per day is probably 20,000 naira. So you remember that, oh, we've actually carried out this type of project before, and you're able to estimate that, oh, last year, the service charge for these people was actually 10,000 naira. So you are now able to estimate that, okay, this time around, they would probably want to ask for double the price. I hope this is clear. So you're able to use the industry data to that, okay, this is how much this set of people are usually paid. This is how much this set of people are usually paid. For instance, you want to have an event and you need an MC. I don't want to just bring any MC, you want to bring the la creme de la creme. So you check out the industry standard. Oh, how much they pay MCs of this category? So once you check that out, you are able to influence your budget that, okay, I was thinking of putting 20,000 naira before a service charge for this MC. But after going through the industry standard, I'm seeing that they actually pay them 50,000 naira. So I'm able to estimate the cost that, okay, this person might want to get like 55,000 naira because the industry data is more of average. So you can just estimate like, okay, let's estimate 50,000 naira for this. So that is basically what it is, parametric estimation. Then we have the analogous estimation. So this approach basically means estimating the cost of a project by looking at similar past projects. So these two methods are very similar. They're actually very, very, very similar. But most times it is also very accurate because it is similar. But another thing is you would also need to be able to check it through, because if it is not the same, just another thing that you also need to notice is not all projects are exactly the same. They can be similar, but they're not exactly the same. And the reason why I say they're not exactly the same is the outcomes. A lot of things can happen within project implementation. For instance, now you want to carry out you had a physical event last year. The event was great, the weather was nice, people turned up, everything was wonderful. So now you are doing the same, like in fact, you're not even changing the agenda. It's still the same name, maybe conference 002. And you are doing it in August. Even last year, too, you did it in August. So it's basically still the same thing, even the same thing. But now, this time around, for this year's project, it rained. And because it rained, it affected attendance. Because it affected attendance, you started your program very late. So all of these things has separated the outcomes of both projects. So it shows you that these projects were basically not still the same thing. So you have to be very, very observant and be sure that, okay, as much as I'm trying to reflect on the past projects, they're not exactly the same thing. So you need to ensure proper comparison. Don't just blindly take, last year we paid the graphic designer 50,000 naira. This year we'll pay him 50,000 naira too. No. Last year we used only 2 banners. This year we'll use only 2 banners too. No. So you still need to go over this year's project and look at what works best. Okay, so moving on to our next slide, making a realistic budget plan. Making a realistic budget plan. So I just want to ask, has anybody actually, had to create a budget plan before? I know Gabriel already mentioned that he did a project for a debate. So I think I want to hear from another person. I've not heard from Pascal. Pascal, can you hear me? Okay, he's muted. Caroline, do you want to speak? I can see you're unmuted.
Yeah, I think you asked if anyone have ever asked to make a budget plan before. I was just going to say yes.
All right, awesome. Awesome, that's great. So now we're going to look at making a realistic budget plan. Yeah, I'm trying to close up this chat box in a minute. Okay. So making a realistic budget plan. Now, creating a budget is not that difficult. It's actually not that difficult. So the thing is, you need to be able to understand, why am I actually creating this budget? And the reason why you're creating this budget is because of a project that you want to implement. So you need to understand the project scope. What is this project all about? What exactly are we doing? What are the objectives of the project? What are the outcomes of the project? So if you understand everything about the project, you'll be able to create a really, really good budget. But if there's no clear understanding of the project, now clear, you can understand something 50% and the remaining 50% you're like, oh, I don't really understand, or okay. It will affect the budget. But if you 100% understand the project, what everything is all about, it will influence your budget, because now you understand the things that you need. You understand the things that you need. So if I want to carry out a virtual event, and the event is probably, for young people, it's just going to be for 30 minutes thereabout and all of that. Now I understand that it is virtual, so there's no need for me to look out for a hall or whatever it is. So now what I need to think of is, are we getting facilitators? And the facilitators, are we paying them? So you want to check out for that. Okay, we're paying them. How much are we looking at paying them? This will now help you to create your budget. But if the project manager, or you don't even know whether you are paying them or not, you never know what to write in the budget, right? You will not know what to write, because you are not even sure if you are paying them or if you are not going to pay them. So that's going to influence your budget. Now you need to look at cost, because if you want to make use of the internet, you want to make use of Zoom rather, or maybe YouTube, you need internet. So what's the cost for the internet? If we are bringing people on, are we going to pay for the data allowance? We're going to give them data allowance. What are we actually looking out for? So everything, understanding the project, the outcomes, everything that for that project is going to influence your budget. So if you want to create a project that has to do with community engagement, you have to probably build a bowl in a particular community. So everything for that project, what do we want to do in this project? It's going to influence your budget. Now looking at, okay, we would need to get vendors. You need to get a plumber. You need to get somebody that does this aluminum stuff. You need to get, I don't know if it is plumbers that also dig the hole. I don't think so. I don't know what they call those people, or people that can dig the hole. So you need to get those people, and every other thing that you need to get. So all of these things, if you don't understand the project, you're not able to do the budget. So once you have a clear understanding of the project, now you are able to itemize all the things you need for this project to be successful, and the cost. Now moving on to estimation of activity cost. Now I'm bringing a plumber. What exactly is this plumber going to do? So if you hire a vendor, you need to tell them what you want them to come and do for you. How do you need them in this particular project? So you tell the plumber, oh, I just need a tap, and I need forgotten what they call this thing now, and all of those plumbing stuff. Let me just put it that way. So he already has an understanding of what you need, and then you ask him that, oh, what is the cost for this thing? And then the plumber will get back to you and tell you that, okay, let me give you the breakdown for the tap, it will cost this thing. For the pipe ahead, it will cost this thing. For my service charge, it will cost this thing. So you have an estimation of the activity cost. Now, you don't want to just formulate numbers in your head that, plumbing, I think probably should not pass 100,000. What are they doing, sef? Probably should not pass 100,000. Let me put 100,000 on my Excel sheet, Jare. What else do you need? We need to be able to provide refreshments for the community members. Refreshments should not pass 15 naira. If I want to do akara and bread, maybe 150. You now remember that, oh, I bought agege bread one time like that. It should not pass this amount of money. You now put it there. So you are literally bringing numbers from your mind. You're not being objective. So you need to be very sure of the estimation of your activity cost. You need to go to the field, ask questions, reach out to vendors. If you need to go to a bakery, go to the bakery, ask for the manager. This is what I need. How much will it cost? So the manager tells you, oh, it will cost 20,000 naira. Now, by the time you are putting in your budget, one of the things that you want to put in is not the exact 50,000 naira. Why? Why do I say not the exact 50,000 naira? It's because you are still in the process of building your project. You are not yet doing the project implementation. The project implementation can come in maybe 3 weeks' time, in 2 months' time. And if you look at Nigeria now, things are changing. If you go to the market there, you got to know price has changed. So you have to be able to manage your expectation. Please, can you mic? So you have to be able to manage your expectations, go to the field, make your research, ask questions, reach out to vendors, ask questions. And that thing too is criteria of estimates. Criteria of estimates. This is also very, very important. Can anybody still hear me?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Can anyone still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can hear you.
All right, thank you. I think my internet just acted up. So criteria of estimates basically means that if you are working within an organization, for instance, there are times where before funds can be released, there are some things behind the scenes that need to happen. So the peculiarities of it, for instance, you want to get, so there are some big organizations that when they get vendors, they don't pay immediately because there's a whole lot of process with procurement and trying to get the funds out. So peculiarities like that will also affect your budget. Now, if I know that I need to, for instance, now you want to carry out a physical event, you need a hall, you need speakers. Now, if you don't pay for these things, they will not allow you to use that space, right? They don't want to hear, I'll pay you later now. No, they want their money immediately. So now you already understand how your organization works, that, oh, it takes time to get money out and all of that stuff. So it means that even while you're preparing your budget, you need to be able to show that these things are priority and we need the money like right now. These things are priority and we need the money right now. There are some vendors that would say, oh, we can do 50% first, and then when we complete the job, can pay us the remaining 50. Some will tell you that, oh, we can actually deliver the souvenirs to your organization, and when your organization is ready, would collect our money. So you have to be able to decide that, okay, which part of my budget do I need money for right now because of the peculiarities of where you are working or peculiarities of the project. I hope this is clear. Then schedule of project and resource. This is very similar to criteria of estimates because there are some parts of the budget, some tasks that it is not immediately, it's probably like going to be at the end of the project. So for instance, you want to be able to print, okay, let's say the community engagement project now, you've got to do a research and you've been able to compile the responses from the community members, and you want to make a report and print.
Hello, sorry, I think it says schedule of what?
Okay, I said schedule of project and resource.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, schedule of project and resource. So basically, this just means, let me just start all over again. So for the schedule of project and resource, it basically means that there are some parts of your budget, some tasks that will probably come at the end. So it is not like it's going to run from beginning to the end. And now I'm giving the example of a research that was carried out in a community. You've been able to get their responses after you've done probably the borehole project that you wanted to do. I also got some responses from them. Now you want to be able to print out this report. So in printing out, we need to get a vendor that can print out. You can only print after you've gotten the responses, which will come towards the end of the project. So scheduling, it basically tells you that, okay, it is at this point, maybe 3 months to the end of the project, that is where we're going to do this activity. And that is when we're going to need the money. That's where we're going to need the resource for this part of the budget. I hope it's clear. So I want someone to just also share. I've done many times, when you carried out a project and there's a particular activity that you had to do, but it was not immediate, it was probably towards the end or in the middle. Victoria, do you want to share with us? Hi, Victoria. Okay, so since we can't hear from Victoria, Pascal, do you want to go? This time nobody is saying anything. What's happening?
Okay.
All right, Gabriel.
Can
Yes.
Okay, initially, like the debate commission, I organized them. Initially, we had to give them the certificate to them during the awards ceremony game. But our sponsor said, okay, we'll not be able to make up them the certificate at that time. So we couldn't give them the certificate that very day. DM. Hello?
Yes, I heard you, Gabriel. But would you want
All
to
right.
take that again? It was kind of breaking up.
Okay. About the debate competition I organized in January. So we were to give them certificate, the participants certificates as well. During the award ceremony day, our sponsor told us that we will not be able to meet up with the certificates that very day, that it will be after the ceremony. We were able to only give them the prize money.
Oh, that's great. Okay. Buluwatife is back.
All right, thanks so much for sharing that, Gabriel. So basically just you actually have life experience from this. So now we're going to be moving on to strategies for managing budgets effectively. Please confirm you can still see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Okay, please give me a minute. I'm trying to remove this chat box once again. Okay, so very similar to, just like I mentioned before, that in managing your projects, you also need to understand the project needs. And one of the interesting things about projects is that you can start off with, oh, we want just 100 people for our events, and middle of the project, things have changed. Now you want maybe 1,000 people for the project. Why? Because you've been able to get more funding. They're like, okay, I think we can scale this, we can make this much more bigger. So that means you need to go back to your venue, because it's very likely that you must have taken a venue that can only take like 100 to 200 people. But now you want a venue that can take 1,000 people. So that means you need to adjust the budget once again. So understanding the project goals per time is going to help you with your budget. Things change when it comes to project planning and implementation. So as things are changing with the projects, things would also change with the budget. So don't just leave your, you've already created budgets, you forget about the budget and you're going on with the project. Then towards the end, you now realize, wait a minute, in this budget, you actually put 2,000 naira. That was your initial budget, but things have changed, and now you are fighting, tooth and nail. You're asking your funder, we actually put this amount in the budget, or can we get more money? Can we get more money? So all of these things would actually affect how you are able to manage your project. So the next thing is ask stakeholders for their insights. So I know that you're still going to have another class on project management and all of that. So one of the critical things is actually for you to be able to ask people for their insights. Can anybody still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, my network is kind of.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I think your network breaks at some point.
Okay, but can you hear me now?
Yes, please. Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you. So another thing is you also want to ask your stakeholders for their insights. Now, as you're building your budget and things are changing while it's even being implemented and all of that stuff, or even before it starts.
Sorry, ma, who are these stakeholders?
So your stakeholders are the team members. They are the people, the beneficiaries of the projects, the people that are sponsoring the project, every person that has to do with that project are stakeholders. You yourself, you're a stakeholder. Your team members are stakeholders. You want to implement this project in, let's say, Asokoro community. All of them there, they are stakeholders. Who is sponsoring this project? Maybe it is Dangote. Dangote is a stakeholder. You need vendors. We need vendors that can give out refreshments. We need somebody that's going to give us all those people that are stakeholders. All of them. But now there's category of your stakeholders, the most important people that would actually affect your budget is number one, the person that is sponsoring the project and your team members. Because the person that is sponsoring your project is the one that is dropping the money. And honestly, whatever the person tells you that, oh, this is how much we have for this thing, they have to work within the person's financial capabilities. Now your team members, they're the ones that are they're also going out to tell you that, oh, for comms, we need this amount of money, this is how much this is going to cost, and all of that stuff. So the insights are very critical. The insights are very, very critical to your budget. Now, if you know that I'm not a comms person, let me even use this as an example. I'm not a comms person. I don't really know media houses. I don't know how much they charge. But you have a comms team and you need to create a budget that would incorporate comms. So your team members that are in comms need to tell you that this is the amount that this media house is going to charge us. And so once they tell you the amount, you're able to incorporate it into your budget. So if you don't ask them, remember I mentioned earlier that you can sit down in one place and be thinking that, oh, this thing should cost this thing now. It should cost 10,000 naira to bring Arise TV now. They're not supposed to be collecting money that is so much. Meanwhile, you did not ask anybody anything. No. You didn't even do ordinary Google research, nothing. You just wrote the number like that. But then asking stakeholders, your team members, all the people that are involved in the project for their insights, you are able to build a better budget. Is it understood? Did you get that, Gabriel?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thanks. So asking them for that insight is very critical because you don't want to just create a budget out of nowhere and then you are having to start all over again from the scratch. So it's not just about you. It is not just about you. As much as yes, as the one that is building it, you need their insights. You need their insights. Then prepare for market fluctuations. I mentioned this earlier. Nigeria has become a very interesting place, a very, very interesting one. Ordinary Indomie. And so let me give this example. I think I bought Indomie probably yesterday or something, small one. And it was sold to me at the cost of 350. And earlier, I think some weeks back, I got it for like 300 naira. So the price has been fluctuating, and for a lot of other things. When you go to the market, things are fluctuating. So if the vendor tells you, oh, I'm going to make this food for you at the cost of 1 million naira, I know that this is your project, you want to do it in 2 months' time. In 2 months' time, the price of pepper has changed. The price of tomato has changed. The price of onion has changed. The price of oil, everything has changed. So for your budget, you need to now estimate probably 1.2 million naira. 1.2 million naira, because you are estimating that in 2 months' time, the price would have increased based off of what is happening currently. The price would have increased. So because you don't want to get to, it's 2 months' time, and then you call the vendor, madam, we're ready for this purchase, or we want to pay. And then the vendor tells you, sorry, it's not 1 million anymore. I'm sure this must have happened to you before. It could be just, going to buy something. So it doesn't cost this thing anymore. And now you have to go back to your budget again, cutting some things out, cutting this one out, asking this person for more money. But if you've been able to estimate and add to the first estimate you got, you are able to now manage your budget. So if she tells you that, oh, it's 1.3 million naira now, and you tell her, can we negotiate down to 1.2? Can we negotiate down to 1.2? So yeah, you've been able to still stick to your budget that way, and you will not be in trouble. You will not be in hot soup. So the fourth part is try different options. Try different options. So you don't have to stick with one thing. So let's say you are going to Lagos now. You're in Enugu State and you need to travel to Lagos. And you're looking at the flight tickets, the prices, and you're like, man, this is crazy. These prices are crazy. Now, you can decide to take Airpeace, and let's say you really like Airpeace because you've heard, good things about Airpeace and all of that. So you're like, let me look out for Airpeace. But now you're seeing that the price of Airpeace does not fall in line with your budget. Now, instead of you sticking with Airpeace that no, it must be Airpeace by force, by fire, even though I don't have the money, you can try different options. Now, you can still decide to fly into Lagos using Airpeace and check for another airline that will be cheaper, that you can fly back from Lagos to Enugu, and to still be cheaper. So you don't need to go with Airpeace, through and fro. You can try different options. This particular vendor, oh yes, I've used this vendor before, but the price that this vendor is calling now, it's outrageous. You can ask for recommendation. Oh, I've attended these events before and the food was nice. I know one of the organizers. I'm going to reach out to this person and ask them that, oh, who was your food vendor? And then this person gives you a cost that is still within your budget. So it is not, no, by force, by fire. It must be this thing. It must be this person. It must be this or no. Your budget is there to guide you. Remember, your budget is there to guide you. So if it doesn't align with your budget, find another option that works. Find another option that works. So next slide, we're almost done. The next slide will be using tech. But before I continue, I want somebody to share, just picking up of the last thing that I just mentioned, trying out different options. So have you actually had to go through the process of looking for another vendor or using somebody else for a project that you had to carry out or something you had to do? How did you navigate that process? Who wants to share? Okay, Caroline.
Yeah, let me go first. So we had a project on training students on leadership skills, and then we were to implement. Part of the sustainability plan was to establish leadership clubs in different secondary schools. I was to provide manuals that they will be using in the various clubs. While planning for that project, we had contacted someone else for a breakdown of what it costs for them to get the manuals. But I think we now implemented the project months after, and going back to ask that same person, the prices were very different from what it used to be, more like a, let's say, 40% increase. And because it was a funded project, we could not get back to funders and say, oh, the money you gave is not enough, or we need money to do this. We just had to sort for other options. We reached out to another person who also prints, and he gave us, in as much as it was still higher than what we had budgeted for, but it was at least more considerable than what the first person we planned on working with gave us. So that was the experience.
All right, thank you for sharing that, Caroline. So this thing is actually something that happens a lot. It happens a lot. And so it just means that you really need to be able to anticipate the risk when you're creating your budget. Anticipating the risk that this vendor can decide to disappoint me. This vendor can tell me that price has changed. This vendor can even tell me that, oh, I don't have this thing again in stock. I know when vendors, they'll tell you that, oh, this thing is old stock. That's why the price was this thing. This is now the new price. Or they don't even have this particular item that you actually want. So anticipating the risk when it comes to budgets is very, very important. And you being able to think this through and incorporate it into your budget is very, very, very important as well. So now moving into tech. So that right now tech is the buzzword, doing things in a, how should I put it now, in a smart and faster way. You don't have to continue to be using paper and biro. The amount is this one, the amount is that one. I'm going to spend this, that, because you can misplace the paper. The paper can get soiled, different things can happen. And right now, you just want things to work better and faster for you. So there are different software tools that you can actually make use of for your budgeting. I think, well, the most popular one is actually Microsoft Excel and Google Sheets. And that's really the most popular. That's what a lot of people use. So you just need to input your numbers, put in some codes, and it will just, add up everything for you. And it makes it very, very clear. And it's something that if somebody is asking you that, oh, can I see the budget? You can easily share it with the person. And for instance, Google Sheets now, you can even work collaboratively on it. So let's say Caroline and Gabriel actually working to implement a project together. And Caroline has been building up the budget. So Gabriel is like, oh, can I see the budget? And then you're able to just share it with him, and both of you are able to walk through the budget together. So there's no back and forth and all of that stuff. You're able to see it. And another good thing is it just makes work easier for you. So you put in your numbers, you put in the codes like I mentioned before, and then you get what you want. So, and that also is QuickBooks. So QuickBooks is also something that you can use. You can also use Scoro, you can also use Goodbudget. There's so many of them. So as much as you can make use of this software, you can also decide to use the one that, okay, I'm more comfortable with this, because some of them also have paid versions. So you don't want to start, you want to really be on the lookout. And put it that way, you want to be on the lookout that, oh, is this software a paid version? So that you don't start on a free plan and then you need to download, and then they tell you that, oh, if you want to download, you need to pay for the software. So you need to be very careful. For me, I use Google Sheets because it's just easier for me, and that's what we use in my organization. So it could also be dependent on the organization as well, what the organization uses, what the funder wants you to use. So you also want to be clear on that, okay, how do you want the budgeting to come in? But most times it's either Excel or Google Sheets, any of that. So you can also Google these things, check out the usage, is this really what I like? Is this really what I want to use? And all of that stuff. So it really helps you with your budget instead of just, putting the numbers in your head. So they ask you, oh, where's the budget? Where's the budget? And it is in my head, it is in my head. The vendor wants to collect this amount of money. This chairman wants to collect this amount of money. People want to see it written down. People want to see it written down. And, by the time you write things down, it's more clearer to you. You start to see, oh, I think there's a mistake in this place. I think we can make it better in this place. So everything just helps you out. Yeah, I think, yeah, so I'm done. Thank you so much for listening. So at this point, I'm ready to answer your questions, or if there are also comments that you'd actually like to make, the floor is yours. Praise, I think you're speaking, but you're muted.
Oh my God, I turned on my video. Okay, thank you so much, Boluwatife. That was really fantastic. That was really, really, really fantastic. When you got to the aspect of technology, I was thinking you could at least expand on that for us. You talked about using Google Sheets, using Scoro. I was like, are you sure this is not going to be too deep? Are you sure we can be the next slide? She said, okay, let's try out one. Everybody, turn on your app to this. I was thinking it's going to really be intense, but I love the fact that the entire session was right. It gave like a background on, oh, this is what budget and how to go about budgeting, especially when you're planning before implementing a project. So let me not finish saying everything. So let me hand over to each and every one of us. We have to say something. So the first person on my screen, I will just give us his numbers. If you have a question to ask, please go ahead. If you have a question, please stop typing it in the chat box so that we won't spend much time here. Yeah, so they already commented the chat box. Thank you so much, our speaker. Thank you so much. Okay, so we'll just go ahead. Gabriel is first on my screen. Caroline, Victoria, Pascal. So I think Charity's network is really bad. Okay, yeah. Oh, it's raining where she's. Okay, so Gabriel, you go first. Just say one thing you've learned, or you can make it more than one. Do you have any question? Just let us know too.
All right, thank you so much. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, can
Yes,
you?
I can hear you.
All right, thank you so much. I really learned a lot. A takeaway from me will be when you talked about like I think criteria. I know the organization criteria, what's especially when maybe there's not enough fun and all that. If there's a need like to prioritize on certain things that you could pay at that moment. So that's one thing I really learned. And I'd like to ask, is it possible to have like two budgets for a project, for one project? I mean, you have one, then have another substitute for another project. I mean, just to get prepared for inflation and all that. You get my question?
Yeah, so the best thing would be to just have one. So remember I said at the beginning you already have a budget, but then as time is going, you can always adjust the budget. That okay, this thing is not going to work at this time, and adjusting the budget also in line with the project, because a lot of times project changes. So I mentioned that you can need a hall for just 100 people, and then the next minute you need a hall for 1,000 people. So that kind of change in the project would also affect the budget. So you can always go back to adjust it. Because by the time you're having multiple projects and budgets everywhere, you have so many sheets, you don't even know which one you're even following again. It could cause confusion for you and for the team.
I see, I see. Thank you so much for this response.
Right.
Thank you for your feedback and your question. So over to you, Caroline. Can you speak or do you want to drop that in the chat box?
I don't really have a question. The facilitator was so detailed and she took her time to explain everything. So I just want to say a big thank you to her for the session.
Okay, if you don't have a question, what if the speaker have a question for you? Our speaker, do you have a question for Caroline? She said everything was so
Sorry,
detailed.
I've asked that questions during the session already. Don't let me bother her too much.
Okay, that's fine. Caroline, you're free to go. Not to leave the chat. Don't leave the chat. Okay, Victoria. Victoria, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Well, I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I want to say something.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, so in managing a project, so far with the fluctuating of prices, I think having a part where you just call miscellaneous, or I think that's what they call it, miscellaneous, where you just put in extra money in case of the budget you made, the prices has increased or a little bit lesser. So what has helped me so far is having a budget where I call miscellaneous, then I can now redo the budget with the exact price. That has helped me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Victoria. Okay, yes, speaker, do you have something to say about that? Do you have a comment to make?
Yes, thank you, Victoria. That also works too.
Okay, Caroline is raising up her hand now. Now she has a question or something to say.
Okay, hi, Victoria. Thank you so much for the suggestion. So I had a project recently, and we added that to our budget, but the funders were like, we should remove it. So that we should remove it, and we had to. In short, while reviewing our budget, they said that it's not supposed to be there. So in such situation, what can one do?
I didn't get the first part. Said the founder asked you to remove.
We had a column for miscellaneous, but they asked that we removed it.
Oh, okay, okay. So in that case, you might need to, just like I mentioned before, the budget itself, that okay, this is okay, while I did the research, this was the cost of this thing. But then you understand that there's a lot of fluctuation going on right now. So you might need to add like an extra 10% to it. So you're also able to justify while you're even sharing the budget with the funder that, oh, this is this thing. And there are a lot of fluctuations. So this is the estimated cost. Because if you don't manage it, you're also going to go back to meet the funder again. That, oh, the money is not enough. Can we get more? And blah, blah, blah. And to look like, but you already shared this thing before. Why are you coming back again for more money and all of that stuff? And then there's a whole lot of back and forth. So I hope that helps. You're muted in case you're speaking.
Yes, thank you so much for that.
Okay, thank you so much, Caroline, for the question, and thank you, Boluwatife, for such an amazing session. I'm so glad to have you facilitate the session. It was brief, straight to the point, and she used a lot of practical examples, like she used different examples, also in her experience in project management, how she goes about ensuring that the budget is being put in place. Thank you everyone for joining. So before we leave the call or the meeting, we have just few announcements to make. Like I said earlier, our project manager had a bit of an emergency. That's why she's not here. So she'll also be communicating more information to us. Please, can you hear